a lot of successful people have found the few things that they get the most out of, and they continue to do those few things and they master them. And then you have folks who major in the minors, a whole bunch of things that bring no return, and they spend most of their time there. We also say don't sweat the small stuff. So you find a few things, and that's where you spend most of your time. You're like, you know what? I got these things that mean the most to me, and that's where I'm going to invest most of my time. So if you find folks who, I don't know, invest more in shoes than they do in books, well, the results will show. The results will show. And I'm not saying I happen to like nice shoes, but I also have more books than I have shoes. So I have a whole bunch of shoes, but I have a whole bunch of books because I know where the books take me, right? The shoes, sure, I can wear them to where I'm going, but I have nowhere to go if I don't have the books. You know what I mean? Or maybe I'm going to the same place, same party, same club, same people. And if that's okay with you, that should be okay with you. But if it's not, simply change it.
If you're a go-getter, faith-driven, and family-focused, and need to break through to your next level, this is the podcast for you. Your self-talk can reshape every area of your life. It's time to dream and think big. Welcome to the Self-Talk Experience with Darnell and Tracy Self. It's time to elevate, baby. Let's get into the show.
Hey, what's up, Self-Talk Experience family? Darnell Self here. And normally Tracy Self, but today you're stuck with me. Remember, self-talk, critically important. Like literally we say more than 50,000 things to ourselves every single day. Some experts predict 70 to 80,000 conversations we have with ourselves every day. If that's the case, wouldn't you agree that what we say to ourselves is critically important? Sure it is. Remember, the things we say to ourselves about ourselves, eventually, maybe not today, but eventually it will determine what you attract and even who you attract for yourself. Listen, this episode right here allowed us to make millions in our 30s. This episode, lean in, if you're watching, tune in, listen up, cut out all distractions if you're listening. Because the philosophies I'll share with you today, and I'll just share a couple, and we'll sprinkle them throughout other episodes. And I'll even ask my wife when she comes back as a co-host, some of the philosophies that help shape her. But this is what helped shape me in terms of attracting the monetary goals I set at 25 years old. I set a goal to be a millionaire by the age of 30, by the way, at 25 years old. I missed that goal. Still ended up making millions in my 30s. But I missed my initial goals, but at least set it. And you know what helped shape that? The things I'm going to share with you today. That's why I'm excited, because when you really want to see other people win, you start thinking more about what can happen for other people, not what you can get from other people. And that's a place where I've been for a very long time. It's all about what can I do for others, because someone did this for me. It changed my life. It changed my generations to come. And I'm honored to share with you all today. So today I want to talk about a couple of philosophies, the things that shape not just what you do, but how you do it, right? It's one thing to have the information. A lot of people have information. They get knowledge, right? They go to school, take the same courses as someone else. You can actually have the same professors as someone else. You could take the same online course, maybe some master class to learn some skill to earn money. There's a lot of them online today. So two people take the exact same class from the exact same coach, lifestyle coach, or coach in that particular space, two different results. And there's a lot of reasons behind that, but one of the philosophies, because it's not just what you know, but how you feel about what you know. How you feel about what you know. How you feel about the information will determine whether you do it with urgency or not. How you feel about what you know determines whether you do it with a level of conviction and belief or not. How you feel about what you know determines whether you stay disciplined and committed to it, or you do it for a little bit and then stop. So it's not just what you know, but how you feel about it. How you feel, like, how does that make you feel? The idea of being able to be financially independent. So now you got the information, but how you feel about it, you're like, I can't believe I have access to this information. And I know with this information, tomorrow will be different. Next month, next year will be different. So here's a number one philosophy. I'll start, and it's not number one in terms of the only philosophy or the top philosophy that helped me to have the financial success we're blessed to have today or in my 30s. But it is the one that probably started me on the path. And this is what it is. It's not the blowing of the wind, but the setting of the sail that determines your destination. It's not the blowing of the wind, because winds blow, let's face it. Right? There will be winds that blow you north and south. There will be winds that blow you in a place that you're like, man, if I'm not careful, I'm going to end up in a place that's not favorable or a place that I don't desire. But it's not the wind. The winds of death blowing us all. At some point in life, someone, unfortunately, that you know will pass away. We don't get out of this life alive. Right? We know that the winds of illness, the winds of financial woes, typically somebody you know has had some financial hardship. These are winds that blow on us all, the winds of a relationship challenge, right? Where we're forced to have tough conversations with the people that we love, kids, siblings, significant others. These are all winds that blow. But here's the thing that changed it all for me. I was refining my thinking. I was getting some foundation that no matter what wind blew, I knew I was still headed in the direction that I'd set. You know why? It's all the setting of the sail. I could control that. Couldn't control the wind, but I can control what direction I went in, regardless of the wind, based on my sail. That's what I want to talk to you about, because if I can help you to set a sail where no matter what happens to you, because of the way that we've been coaching the self-talk experience audience, we know that you can flip that to say, this is happening for me. And now instead of being beached with your sailboat and not being able to no longer get to your destination, you change the setting of your sail and you're still on track, regardless of what happens. You know how comforting that is? You know how good that makes you feel when you realize that no matter what happens to me in life, I have control over how I set my sail, and I've been setting it for so long that no matter what comes my way, we're going to figure it out. No matter what happens, we'll find the solution. Let's talk about that. So how do you set your sail? So this setting of the sail is pretty simple. One, look at where you want to go. Look at the things that you like to have. And maybe they're material things. Maybe they're not materialistic. Maybe it's, the things that you like to be able to do with your family, how close you like for your family to be, and the relationships that you desire. Find some folks who have relationships that you like to mimic. You're like, man, I'd love to be like that. I'd love for my family to emulate that. I love to have that type of lifestyle, to be able to travel the world, to be able to stay in huts over the water, whatever it is. So you find those who have done that. Figure out, and there's different ways you can do it. Like some of them are authors, so you just read the books that they've written, or find out what books they've read. Like if I don't want, listen, the opposite holds true too. If I'm looking at someone, I'm like, I really don't want that kind of life. I look at what they read and read the opposite. I'm kind of joking, but kind of not, right? But a lot of folks, they're not investing in the same things that those who've achieved those goals are investing in. Like, hey, look at where we spend our dollars. Look at where we spend our time. It's called time management. That's another philosophy, by the way. I may as well infuse it in right now. A lot of successful people have found the few things that they get the most out of, and they continue to do those few things and they master them. And then you have folks who major in the minors, a whole bunch of things that bring no return, and they spend most of their time there. We also say don't sweat the small stuff. So you find a few things, and that's where you spend most of your time. You're like, you know what? I got these things that mean the most to me, and that's where I'm going to invest most of my time. So if you find folks who, invest more in shoes than they do in books, well, the results will show. The results will show. And I'm not saying I happen to like nice shoes, but I also have more books than I have shoes. So I have a whole bunch of shoes, but I have a whole bunch of books because I know where the books take me. right? The shoes, sure, I can wear them to where I'm going, but I have nowhere to go if I don't have the books. You know what I mean? Or maybe I'm going to the same place, same party, same club, same people. And if that's okay with you, that should be okay with you. But if it's not, simply change it. See how that works? So we know a whole lot of folks that major in and this is how you know people major in the minors. Every little thing that happens takes them off track. Every little thing that happens, and they'll say, yeah, today, I had this going on, and the next day is another excuse, and the next day is another excuse. It's because anything takes them off track because they've not set the sail to where they want to go. So we're talking about how to set that sail. One, associations. Find those who are successful in the area that you want to be successful in and get in those rooms. Get around those folks. Invest in yourself and get around those folks because they think differently, right? Obviously. What I currently have is found inside my comfort zone and it's found inside my group of associations. That's why I have it, because my associations have helped me to get to where I am. My comfort zone allows me to attract what I currently have. But watch this. Right outside of that comfort zone, literally right outside of that comfort zone, are some people I haven't met yet, some rooms I haven't been in yet, perhaps something that I haven't done yet. That's why it's outside of my comfort zone. It's a little scary. Like, should I do this? Should I really step out and do this? Should I really trust and invest in myself? But guess what's outside your comfort zone? Because all of that is outside your comfort zone, so is the next thing that you'll attract. You can't attract something different by doing the same thing with the same people. So you're one introduction away, one room away, being in a different room, one book away. This is why this philosophy is so important, because you're setting a different sail each time. You're learning how to set a sail that takes you to a place you've never been before, not because the winds haven't blown your way. You've got winds of favor on your life, but sometimes we just don't set the sail that takes us to the favorable place. We can control that. You can control whether you read something today. You can control whether you introduce yourself to people that you meet. We can control whether we take a certain amount of money and put it aside to invest in us, to invest that we go invest into a different room, invest to a different environment, a networking group, and that group takes us to a different place. That relationship takes us to a different place. So it's not the blowing of the wind, but the setting of the sail that determines your destination. Not the blowing of the wind, but the setting of our own sail that we have complete control of that determines our destination. Remember, we often say it doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. And if it happens for you, that means that we have an opportunity to set a sail so that it continues to thrust us in the direction that we want to go in. So we get in the right rooms, we get around the right people. We do what the successful people are doing, successful in fitness. So if I want to take my fitness to the next level, I should probably start connecting with those who've taken their fitness to the next level. Find out what they're doing. Maybe what they're eating, their regimen, their routines. I start doing some of those things. I create new habits. With those new habits come different results. Why? Because I've set my fitness sail differently. This is how we made a lot of money in our 30s. We figured out, okay, what are people giving up? And don't get me wrong, there will be some internal conflict. This was the dichotomy. It was this internal fight because I had my existing associations like, you're going to miss that? Hold on. You mean they didn't understand how I could sacrifice that. They didn't understand how I could forego that, how I, would miss out on that. And it could be a movie. It could be a show. It could be a football game. It could be the party. It could be whatever it is. I'm like, nah, I'm good because I had a book to read. Nah, I'm good because I had an event to go to. I was investing in myself. And it felt funny because that existing group didn't understand it, not get it, because that existing group was a part of my association. We all had about the same thing because we were all our association. So I had to gather and be bold enough to gain some new associations if I wanted my old associations to be stretched by me. You see? So I had to set my sail, get to a different place, and then say, hey guys, here's all you have to do. Set your sail slightly this way and you'll get here too. Now, not everybody chose to do that. Not everybody will choose to do that. But the good thing is once you start setting your sail, you also encourage and motivate those around you to set their sail. How awesome is that? We can all do it. You just have to choose to do it. You have to choose to do it. So I've shared a few philosophies with you today. One, it's not the blowing of the wind, but the setting of the sail that determines your destination. Number two, we talked about not majoring in the minors. Wonderful thing about what happens as you start to shift your philosophies, you understand that your current circumstances don't dictate where you see yourself going. So if you're at a place right now and you're like, it's easy for you to say this because you're already there. Well, I'm not where I want to be. So that's not true, right? If I am where I am, but my goal is not to stay here. So I too have to stretch my comfort zone. Everything I'm asking that you do, I shift the conversation I'm having with myself, just like I'm asking that you shift the conversations you have with yourself. But what I'm saying is your circumstances don't dictate that. Everything I'm saying, the conversations you have with yourself are important because your circumstances are the win. Your circumstances are like, man, I can't pay my bills right now. I don't have the money to go to this event right now, and I know I need to be in that room. That's the win. But how you set your sail is what you say to yourself about that. Watch what I'm saying. Somebody says, I don't have the money, so I can't go. Somebody else says, I don't have the money, so I have to go. Somebody says, I have kids, so it's going to be tough for me to do that. Somebody else says, I have kids, so I must do that. Somebody says, I don't have a car. I'm not sure how I'll get there. Somebody else says, I don't have a car. Another reason for me to be there. You see, you can use the reasons that you're currently using as an excuse why not to, or use them as motivation on why you must do it. That's the difference in philosophy. And I'm not asking that the people who are currently around you understand your migration to a different philosophy. Because it's not until you go there that most folks will have permission to go there too. I'm just asking that you be the leader. I'm asking that you be the one, that you be the example. Because most folks need an example to say, man, if they do it, if they did it, I can do it too. If they did it coming from that neighborhood, I can do it too. If they did it and they weren't good at speaking either, then I can do it too because I don't like speaking, or I have a speech impediment, or I'm an introvert, or any excuse that someone's used why they can't do something. When you do it with that exact same life situation, you give them permission. You give them the motivation that they can do it too. So shift your philosophy and you'll shift your attitude. When you shift your attitude, you'll have the same knowledge as everyone else, but how you feel about that knowledge will put you into action. So that activity will lead, that attitude will lead to action, and that action will lead to results, and those results will lead to your new lifestyle. Philosophies first, it'll shape your attitudes, it'll shape your action and your activities, which will shape your results and shape your lifestyle. Congratulations, my friends. Not for the wins, because those aren't always easy, but congratulations on the setting of your new sail, because those wins, which sometimes your enemies will mean for bad, will actually take you further and faster towards your goal, and they don't even realize it because you've set a new sail. This has been another self-talk. Remember, the things we say to ourselves about ourselves eventually determines what and even who we attract for ourselves. And if this one over here was with me, she would say, and don't forget, everything happens for you. It doesn't just happen to you. God bless you guys.
Thank you for listening to the Self-Talk Podcast with Darnell and Tracy Self. We hope you enjoyed. Be sure to rate and review this podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform. And we'll see you next time. And remember, talk good to yourself.